Hello traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Palantir again. I just did a video a couple of days ago this week. Can't remember when. Been a busy week. So anyway, it was a pretty popular video, so I thought I owed a version 2. So in it, the message was, there's a move coming, get ready. We didn't know exactly which way, but we drew these lines, and the circle was where it was, and I said either this path or this path will happen. So clearly it broke down, but it is obvious to me that this stock has a lot of fans. And so I did some research on it. I didn't know the company very well. I had, top line idea of what it did. I delved into it a little bit more, and looking at how dedicated the fans to it and how much conviction they have, and this is nothing I would short. That's the first statement. And being long it, especially using options, there are ways to get long for free, is very attractive. So it's one of those stocks where I would stash it away for a rainy day. So buy it and keep it. And using options, there are tons of things we can do with it. So let's talk Turkey. And now, from a price action perspective, take out your feelings of do you love the stock or do you not love the stock. Let's just talk what the machines are going to do with the stock. You trade, but it's a fraction relative to who trades. It's what trades, really. The machines are doing most of the trading. You and me are just a small drop in the bucket, and we won't matter much. So the machines will look at the levels and decide accordingly. And I can tell you from a machine perspective, into 26, it has resistance. It's not a hard wall, but it's nice for it to breathe there. What's important is to set a higher low trend from this dip it had. Absolutely, it should not leave 21 because then it would bring downside scenarios. I don't see those happening. I drew them, but let me see what my note says. Okay, just look at it if it passes. So if it comes down to here, I would probably try to catch the falling knife with a tight stop as a trade. If it breaks out of here, 25.50, it's probably going to gather enough momentum to tackle this zone of resistance. And here, I had a note to myself at 28, which I did probably on the last video, is that the seller should be there. But if there's a breakout in spite of it, then I should chase the breakout. Does that make sense? So it has a test coming. What happens in that test may bring enough oomph to tackle these overhead resistances that happen off of these several red candles. I like this level here for an absolute level breakout. Some people like to chase the trend breakout. So if there's a trend line that gets breached, they chase it right away. I'd rather see level breakout. Like this would be the first one I would be looking at, and this one. I guess today's candles I could use 25.40 or 25.50. So the good news is short term, we're looking at just a few days here, not a lot of days, the 19th on. It has support from the level perspective, from the volume profile perspective, from the sentiment perspective. Everybody loves this company, so who am I to argue with it? If you watch a video from their investor day, they sound like they're a whole bunch of Mark Benioffs. You can't bet against people this confident in their company unless they're flat out lying, like this Theranos lady who snowed everybody. Those are very few and far between. So if they're legit, I would not short this company. No way. So I would bank on them. In fact, I may share that with members. So this is just a follow-up video. Buyable dip. Good support below, even when I expand the timeline to 2 hours. It has some resistance from level perspective. The circle from which we fell out, we're going back into it, and it's usually rarely a slice right into the circle. They hit it, they struggle, maybe they dip a little bit, and they come back to it, and they draw a cup and handle-ish. So ideally, if you're a bull, this was the small caps today, which they're breaking out now. So it's all about levels. So even if they dip here, it's ideal that if they fall and gather a little bit more momentum to tackle this zone that they're heading into. Once they do that, then they can overcome it, test it for footing, and then continue on their merry way. Ooh, nice squiggle there. So pick your levels. If I'm long, I'm not out. If I'm long, I did not get shaken out. Right, so this is me saying that I wouldn't short this. It might have some resistance, but eventually I think it will overcome it in an upward moving market. So this and every other stock has to trade within the prism of the whole market, and you can't just do that. Take an absolute hardcore line on this stock and not consider the macroeconomic conditions. So maybe if I wanted to get long, I will take half position and add to it as it crosses milestones on the chart. So let me look at the daily. This is a relatively new issue, so the daily might be a little too vague. But you can see the breakout was down here. If you saw the last video, I wanted to get long here, but I didn't. I said go. I recommended it, but I personally missed it. So shame on me for not taking my own advice. But this is definitely not a shortable company. So let me see if I can get PLTR. I can't remember doing that the other day, so if I did, sorry about that. What is that, 3? So price to sales is 38 times. So that's sounds high. It is high in absolute terms if you compare it to Apple, which is probably like 9. Amazon is 5. Facebook and company are like 10 to 14. Tesla, maybe closer in excitement, is 20-ish. Used to be 5, immediately jumped to 20. The real shameful numbers are like Shopify, 60 almost. Zoom, 100 and change. Snowflake, 160. So what does that mean? These are the number of years already baked into the current stock price. So at 39, all by itself sounds high, but it's not a reason enough for me to short it. So if you're looking for something to short, this probably isn't it. They had a whole bunch of cash infusion. I don't know from what, but it's not an obvious short any which way you slice it, fundamentally, or from the stock chart, or from the fan base. So if you're bearish, you better have a good reason to be bearish. I thought I heard somebody in the news, they are bearish, this company. I'd like to see what their argument is. I haven't bothered. I don't listen to news anymore because it's a bunch of BS. And they are tweeting their positions. They never disclose if they're long. By the way, I just got long the stock by using options where I'm agnostic for the rally. All I needed to do is hold a certain level, and then I make my money. So it's not like I'm pumping it to make money. I don't need it to go anywhere. In fact, if nothing happens, I make maximum gains. So, but on TV, they don't disclose anything anymore. Like I'm going to name it, if Citron comes out and says something, he tweets, makes his profits immediately. I don't know how this is legal still. When the SEC can see that one person comes out and says, hey, I'm short the stock crumbles, he or she makes their profit and they're out. Easy. I would never lose if I was Citron. How would he ever lose? Immediately close your position after you tweet it and you're good to go. 100% win ratio. It's insane. He does it on the upside and the downside. So kudos for him to get away with it. I think Icon was the closest one. Carl Icahn a while back when he said something about Apple, it would rally $3. I still remember that because he screwed me one time when I was short Apple for a little bit. And I had profits and they disappeared because he tweeted that he was long Apple. I was like, oh my gosh, on a Friday. And, Kramer is not allowed to trade, so he says, so he cannot do that. But these guys, they have the free-for-all, so don't listen to them. Trade your own thesis. Do your homework. If you like it, stick with it. Who cares what the guy says? Nick signing out.